He can fight, yeah. For boxers his level, yes.
Meaning what? Not your level?
I do not believe so, no, not at all.
Mike Tyson just brutally attacked Jake Paul because this man finally decided to open his mouth regarding November 15th. Not only did he completely tarnish Tyson's legacy with ridiculous rumors about the fight being rigged, but now he's throwing around claims that Tyson needed money to step into the ring. Oh, really, Jake?
I've always been in the gym training. I'm a boxing professional fighters. Activity is great. I had 15 fights in 1 year when I was younger, and I think activity is great, but I'm prepared.
The guy who's been a global icon for decades is out here begging a YouTuber for cash. But let's pause for a second. Does Jake even understand the rules of boxing, or is he just making stuff up as he goes? It's hard to tell, because at this point, it's clear that Jake Paul has no idea what he's talking about, and he's about to pay the price for it. Because honestly, the Tyson-Paul fight was the boxing match nobody asked for, but somehow couldn't stop watching.
Tyson is getting back in the ring. He's 58 years old. He's facing off against YouTuber-turned-boxer, 27-year-old Jake Paul.
When this news broke that 57-year-old Mike Tyson would step into the ring with 27-year-old Jake Paul, the internet collectively raised its eyebrows. Was this a legitimate fight, or the world's most bizarre midlife crisis? Critics were already calling it a circus before the opening bell even rang. The age gap was the least of the concerns. On one side, you had Tyson, a living legend, while on the other, Jake Paul, a social media personality turned boxer whose greatest weapon is his ability to trend on Twitter. The match felt like mixing vintage wine with cheap soda. Then came the most foolish thing. Yes, Jake's supposed financial rescue theory. According to him, Tyson practically begged for the fight because he needed the payday. Seriously, Jake? The same Tyson who built a cannabis empire and probably has more money in his couch cushions than you have in your crypto wallet? Fans were outraged.
There is an alleged script leak. This has not been confirmed. Take it with a grain of salt. No one knows if this is real.
But just when the fight hype was dying down, enter the script leak. This wasn't some sketchy Reddit post either. It was a fully detailed, round-by-round breakdown of how the fight would supposedly play out. Tyson starts strong with his iconic bob and weave. Jake weathers the storm, and by round 5, Tyson hits the mat after a perfectly timed right hook. Sounds like something cooked up in a Hollywood writer's room, right? Fans couldn't believe how specific the script was, and how disturbingly close it came to what actually happened. Tyson looked slower, Jake more precise. Even the part about Tyson getting cut above the eye matched reality. Suddenly, the fight felt less like boxing and more like WrestleMania with better PR.
That love Mike, and despite what he said in that interview with the girl about the legacy, we love him and his legacy.
Meanwhile, Tyson stayed suspiciously quiet. No furious denial, no public outburst. It was almost like he was letting people talk. Or maybe he was just trying to figure out who leaked the plot twist to the public. After all, if there really was a contract with a non-disclosure clause, someone was in serious trouble. But Jake, being Jake, couldn't keep his mouth shut. On his podcast, he casually mentioned he eased off during the fight to avoid hurting Tyson. You know, because he was the real threat. This little comment exploded faster than one of Tyson's uppercuts. Was Jake admitting the fight was staged? Was he just bragging? Or worse, was he too clueless to realize he might have just spilled a career-ending secret? At this point, the Tyson-Paul fight went from controversial to straight-up legendary for all the wrong reasons. Fans weren't just questioning the match. They were rewriting the entire storyline in their heads.
Exactly. I started to, matter of fact, thank you. I started Jake Paul off.
Mike Tyson's patience snapped faster than Jake Paul's claims of being a legitimate boxer. After weeks of hearing rigging accusations and seeing that ridiculous leaked fight script spread like wildfire, Tyson finally fired back. And it wasn't with his fists this time. In an interview with Fox Sports Radio, the former heavyweight champ dismissed the rigging rumors, declaring it was a real fight. He didn't just say it, he practically growled it, as if daring anyone to question whether getting punched 78 times was part of some grand conspiracy. And let's be clear, Tyson wasn't just brushing off the allegations. He was seething. But Tyson's point was simple. You don't fake waking up the next day feeling like you got run over by a cement truck.
Look at my life as a legacy. Legacy to me means ego. Who the cares about my legacy? I'm going to be dead soon one day. But he's not going to win.
But this wasn't just about physical pain. Tyson's real fury came from what the rigging rumors did to his legacy. For Tyson, it wasn't just an insult. It was a slap in the face with brass knuckles. His legendary status now came with asterisks, thanks to a viral fight script that read like something rejected from a Rocky sequel. Behind the scenes, the whispers got even juicier. Insiders claimed there was a non-disclosure agreement, NDA, involved. The kind that comes with scary legal warnings in all caps. If true, this would have barred anyone from spilling details about the fight being anything less than 100% authentic. And yet, Jake Paul couldn't resist playing loose with the facts on his podcast. He casually claimed he eased off during the match, as if he was some kind of merciful boxing god granting Tyson a pass. This wasn't just Jake being cocky. It was potentially NDA-breaking cocky. Jake broke the rules, sources hinted, suggesting Tyson was ready to go full legal bulldog. If that NDA existed, Jake might have crossed a line thicker than Tyson's boxing gloves. Tyson's rumored rage over this wasn't just about the fight. It was about protecting the brand he spent decades building. The same brand Jake Paul was now dragging through the mud for content clicks.
Welcome back to The Pain Game. Today we're going to talk Darren Till versus Tommy Fury / John Fury, of course. But first, some more important and quite serious news in the combat sports world. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, it's come out now. It was rigged. I can't believe it. You know, you have to question the validity of boxing these days when you can't trust two professionals to get in the ring and do their best against each other. And instead you find out Mike Tyson pulling his punches, not trying to hurt Jake Paul. Absolute disgrace. I thought better of them. You know, I really did. I thought that Mike Tyson, especially, Iron Mike, he was just going to go in there and knock Jake clean out. But here he is, not trying. I'm so disappointed in him. But you don't need to take it from me.
But the fight itself only added fuel to the fire. Statistically, Jake Paul outperformed Tyson in nearly every measurable way. 78 punches landed versus Tyson's paltry 18. On paper, it looked like a masterclass in boxing domination. Except for one glaring issue. It was Mike Tyson, the man who knocked out legends with fewer punches than that on his worst days. Seeing Tyson struggle to connect even a few clean shots felt like watching Superman lose a wrestling match to SpongeBob. Yet, ringside footage told a different story. From the crowd's perspective, the hits looked brutal and painfully real. Tyson didn't seem like someone playing a scripted role. He looked like someone desperately trying to relive past glory, while his body begged him to sit down. His iconic bob and weave looked more like a slow shuffle, and his punches came with the speed of a buffering YouTube video. Even Tyson himself admitted to feeling off. He confessed to blanking out mid-fight, something that raised even more eyebrows. Was it exhaustion, age, or something deeper that nobody saw coming? Whatever it was, his sluggish performance only added credibility to the conspiracy theories, even if the truth might have been far less dramatic. The undeniable march of time.
But that changed when Paul clenched with Tyson. It's alleged he whispered into Tyson's ear to cool him.
But then came the aggression factor. Ringside analysts noticed something interesting. Jake Paul wasn't holding back. He was throwing with bad intentions, landing sharp combinations, and even cutting Tyson above the eye. You could see Jake's competitive streak firing on all cylinders, as if he'd forgotten he was supposed to be playing entertainer and started fighting like a man desperate for legitimacy. And you know what is the root cause of all this? It's money. Jake Paul, never one to miss a chance to stir the pot, claimed that Mike Tyson approached him out of financial desperation. According to Jake, Tyson needed the fight to keep his bank account from going the way of empty.
I did tell you about it. At the time, I wanted to do a pay-per-view roast, like it was a boxing match, and they'd said, oh yeah, Mike can make $20 million.
Then there's the juicy pay-per-view, PPV debate. Industry insiders whispered that both fighters walked away with hefty seven-figure paydays. But did Tyson feel shortchanged? Maybe. If Jake pocketed more due to his internet clout, that would have added extra sting to Tyson's already bruised pride. Imagine spending decades building a legendary career only to be out-earned by a guy famous for pranking strangers on YouTube. Ouch. The real question is, was Tyson's return to the ring a strategic business move or a desperate grasp at glory? Some say he wanted one last taste of the spotlight before retirement, or maybe just to prove that even at 57, he could still rearrange someone's face. But stepping into the ring with Jake Paul wasn't just risky. It was like a retired lion challenging a loudmouth hyena. Tyson might have been thinking easy payday, but he clearly underestimated how far Jake would go for clout. Social media wasn't kind either. Fans roasted Jake for allegedly disrespecting Tyson, accusing him of milking the fight for publicity while trashing a living legend. Memes, think pieces, and angry tweets flew like punches in a street brawl. In the court of public opinion, Jake wasn't just the villain. He was the final boss of boxing trolls.
Reason and one reason only, and that is the money. He's getting paid so much money to do this. So that tells me he's getting bought. So again, it is sad that someone like Mike Tyson.
Rumor has it Tyson didn't just walk away from the fight, he stormed away, leaving behind a trail of blistering words aimed directly at Jake Paul. Insider sources claim Tyson unloaded a verbal knockout during a private post-fight conversation, telling Jake to stop ruining my legacy and keep my name out of your clout-chasing mouth. Classic Tyson, sharp, direct, and ready to bite back. There's even speculation that Tyson's team is considering legal action for potential contract violations. If Jake really did hint at fight fixing on his podcast, he might have broken the golden rule of celebrity fights. Don't talk about the script. Tyson's lawyers are reportedly watching closely, ready to pounce if Jake keeps running his mouth. So what does all this chaos mean for the future of boxing? Has the sport crossed the point of no return, where hype and headlines matter more than skill and legacy? Can boxing survive when fights feel more scripted than spontaneous? And most importantly, how long before fans stop tuning in altogether, tired of wondering whether they're watching a real contest or just another pay-per-view soap opera? The ring was once a place where legends were forged. Now it's starting to look like just another stage.